Hey there, thanks so much for joining us today for the Drawing for Adults class brought to you by the Ann Arbor District Library and the Ann Arbor Art Center. Today we're going to be drawing 4B and 4C hair. So if you have a charcoal pencil or a really nice soft dark graphite pencil such as a 6B or 8B pencil, that will be really great so that we can get some really dark values. So the first thing that you want to do is just lightly sketch in the shape of the head and the neck and the shoulders. So you can see how I'm taking my time, making sure everything looks nice and symmetrical. I'm not going to draw a full-on portrait today. We are just focusing on the hair. We have plenty of other portrait videos. If you're interested in taking a look at those, I highly recommend you go through AADL TV's YouTube channel and you can find some of those videos. But for now, we're just going to focus on the hair itself. Now, regardless of the texture of the hair, it's always important to note that it's about the shape of the hair. So regardless, you are going to always want to really focus on the shape of the hair versus each individual strand. And so that part's really important, so you can see how I am just kind of getting the base shape here done. So I'm going to start with the 4B hair, which is going to have some little ringlets. And so what you can see that I'm doing right now is I'm taking my pencil and I'm just making some kind of curly lines throughout that whole side of the hair. So this right side of the hair will be the 4B side, and then the other side will be the 4C hair. So what you're seeing though is, at first anyway, a pretty light application of this line work that I'm doing with just these curly lines. And so I'm kind of keeping it fairly consistent, really focusing on creating this ringlet kind of texture, but that's also fairly soft, right? We don't want it to be, I don't know, very dark at this point. We're keeping it kind of light. And so here you can see up above, I've shown different ways of making those lines. So some of them are more zigzaggy, whereas others are more curly. And then also being able to really look at this point now at how you're holding your pencil. So if you see these little shading marks over to the right, one is a little bit more linear. And so that's when you're holding your pencil more upright, like perpendicular to your paper. Whereas the other one, you're holding your pencil a little bit more sideways at an angle. And what that makes you be able to do is it makes it so that you don't get a fine point on your paper, like with your pencil, and instead you're getting a nice softer application. And so you can still work in some darker values, so you can see the way I'm building that up, but you aren't getting necessarily a bunch of little teeny tiny lines. And so what I'm doing, and again, it's always good to have a photo reference or an actual reference, but what I'm doing is I'm going back in and I am kind of using my pencil on its side so that I can work in those darker values in sections. So I'm noticing the places that are sticking out a little bit more where the light is being able to touch the tops of the sections of the hair, and then I'm just kind of building that in. So again, photo reference is key. Then now what you can see is I'm actually pressing down harder using that tip of the pencil, and I am showing those ringlets. So I'm showing these little wavy lines and really pressing down a little bit harder, so you can see here in the bangs, that area too, where I'm actually defining some curls, right? Not every section of the hair will be really defined in 4B hair, but we are going to see a little bit of definition there. And so being able to get that, those darker places as well as some lighter places. So you can use your eraser. You can say, I'm using my eraser tool to come back out, add in some highlights that I can come back and add a few little darker places where it just looks like, the light is kind of catching it. You're not going to see bright, shiny highlights necessarily because the hair is a little bit more textured and coarse. And so you're not going to see the same kind of, reflective kind of highlights happening. And so they're a lot more subtle and soft, and so it's really beautiful when you just use that side of your pencil to create that texture. So going over here now on the other side with the 4C hair, you can see where I am pretty much only using that kind of soft blended texture with the side of my pencil, like I was talking about, holding my pencil at an angle and just really getting the hang of that. It's tricky, I will say. I'm probably making this look a lot easier than it really is, but go and practice it, and this is a great time to practice it because that texture of the pencil is perfect. It's exactly what we need, and that's going to be key to do. And then notice how on the edges here of her hair on the side there, again, it's about that shape, but there's been a few places there where I just decided, okay, I'm going to bring my pencil out just a little bit further to show the ends of the hair, and I'm not getting it super fine point. Again, it's about the shape. No matter the hairstyle or the hair texture, it's always going to be focusing on the shape. Think about it like if it were a sculpture. How would you sculpt that hair? Would you sculpt each individual strand of hair or each section of hair? You would do each section of hair, and maybe then you would go back in and add a couple little fine details if possible with a finer tool of some sort. So for this, when you're drawing it with a pencil, you're going to do the same thing, and you're paying really, really close attention to the values that you see. And of course, not always, but often when you're drawing 4B and 4C hair, you're going to see darker values, right? The hair may be black, and so if you're doing that, you want to make sure you're pressing down hard enough, or you're using a charcoal pencil or a soft graphite pencil that already will kind of allow you to get into those darker values, because you're just not going to see those bright highlights that you might see for someone with like a light blonde hair of a different texture. So I hope this was really helpful today. Practice is key. Really, I think the main thing, like I said, is really getting the hang of that. Holding your pencil kind of on its side like that is going to be really pertinent in order to get the texture and the values that we see accurate. So practice it, and I hope that you've enjoyed our video today and that you'll tune in with us next time.